What's up, y'all? This is Jeremiah.
What's up? This is Steve-O from Jackass. You're listening to Radio DePaul.
Radio DePaul.
Radio DePaul is Chicago's College Connection.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Lore Love Tales with your host Trin. It was one of those days where I was like, hey, I'm gonna be a little bit late, but I've made it right on time, right on schedule, and I'm so excited to talk about today's topic. Last week, just a little recap if you're new to the show, I talked about the importance of storytelling in this age of hustle culture and why it's so damaging and how so many people have just decided to go on this new wave of just constant, oh, I have to get up at this time at 5 o'clock in the morning and do an hour, 2 hour workout probably, and then run and do all this stuff. So I got in the headspace of just talking about why we should maybe consider a slow, mundane, probably not so boring life, if that makes sense. So this week, I have something special. I think every topic that I'll be like, oh, it's super special. But this week, we're going to be talking about how to be your most creative self. And to give a little backstory of what this show really encompasses, I do a recap of what the show is just for new listeners out there. I specifically talk about storytelling in all forms of mediums, because medium is like, there's media, it's plural for mediums, and the medium is a specific driver in media. Anyway, the mediums being literature, film, music, radio, all of the things that enact storytelling in some way, shape, or form. And I talk about how those things drive the way that we live, the way that we act, and even the things that we create ourselves. So, for this week's poll, and if you would like to be in these polls, you can follow me on Instagram, and we do them at least once a week, one day out of the week, in which I make a poll surrounded or like adjacent to the topic. So this poll was, do you find yourself to be a good storyteller? And 67% said yes, and 33% said no. Now, I added a little bubble because if you're on Instagram, you can see that you can make like a poll and a question. So I put the poll for just simple people who just want to do the yes or no. Or if anyone who wants to elaborate, that's there. So I'm not going to lie to you. There are a couple people who are like, oh, I'm him, I'm that guy. Like, come on, it's me. This is the story. You know, I'm a good story. No one knows who you are. So that didn't help me in the slightest. But there were some people who said, I know how to make a joke out of my personal experiences. I also have ADHD because I never know how or what to say. These are two separate people. I'm sorry. I shouldn't. Okay. One of my classmates that I used to have last quarter, Bella, said that she never knew how to say or how to say it. My friend Cam said he knows how to make a joke out of personal experiences. My friend Bree said people say I take forever to tell stories, but I just don't want to leave out big details. She said yes to that. So, Cheyenne said that she gets sidetracked a lot, which is understandable. Me personally, I think it depends on the story, because if I have like a set design, like if I have like, how I do, this stuff here. So if I say, if I have like a little thing, I'm looking at my notes right now. If I have an idea of how to talk about the story, sure. But I think I just get too excited about stories and I get sidetracked, or the way that I want to story tell is different how I'm saying it than it is in my head. But today's topic is, again, how to be your best creative self. And this is not coming from someone who's won so many awards and now if you want to be like me, this is exactly how you should do it. No, I think these are the ways that I found myself to be my most creative self. And I want to share them. I have about 10 little notes or 10 little tips, I guess. And we're going to go through all of them. And we're just going to dive right into it. So the first one is, I actually talked about this on my Instagram. If you want to follow, Tren_MONAE. I don't even know if I said my Instagram, but it's my nickname, Tren_MONAE. And the first one, I talked about this on one of my posts. You can probably see it. No one cares about your process. Like, no one cares, because when you're in a creative space and you're creating something beautiful, it doesn't matter how long it took. It doesn't matter what you had to do it, to get to that point, as long as it's there. As long as at the end of the day, you can be like, hey, this is 100% done. There are no notes for me. I've done all that I can, and this is what I want to show to the people. That's all that matters. So I got into that state of myself because I performed at a gala back in December, and I practiced for a while, for like 6 weeks, maybe 6 weeks or more. And I performed 2 songs, to which not a lot of people could even hear, because one, honestly, the audience was very rude. Like, we couldn't really hear much of the people performing because people just wanted to be there's audience etiquette as well as performance etiquette as well. Like, it's give and take. But I digress. The people who were surrounded were still there was like a good chunk of people in the area in the audience section, but there were just people who were out in the barriers of it just being too loud. But I still think I did pretty okay. Some people probably, no, you did really well. Whatever. But with that, right, I had sometimes there's some cases when I'm performing or when I'm practicing something, I take my time when I practice. If I want to get something right, the thing is about practicing, but in this regard, practicing your instrument, don't practice until you get it right. Practice until it's nearly impossible, or if not impossible, to get it wrong. So when I practice, there are the ways that I breathe for air, the way that I move a phrase, the way that I articulate something or I write something down. Regardless of how much I have to do, this is what I have to do to be my most 100% self. This is how I want to tell the story. This is how I want to play the piece. So it doesn't matter if I look like I'm gasping for air, or if I'm really being a little bit more animated with how I'm playing my instrument. It doesn't matter. Like, you're not gonna look stupid. You're not gonna look funny. I had a situation where my school, my old elementary school, I got to work with some of the trombone players, about 2 of them, and there was this one girl. She had a really great tone. I saw her, like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a full circle thing, because this is where I started my musicianship, and I think she started in 4th grade, lucky duck, but I started in 5th grade, and she just wanted to work on her tone. She wanted to work on her sound and just her full-on support, and I don't know if I could drill no more than putting like air. Just be so generous with the amount of air that you're putting into your instrument, because granted, the instrument's there, but you're doing the majority of the work. You just need to know how to play it, the way that you use your embouchure, the way that you use your breath control, the amount of pitch that is all you. You know what I mean? I mean, there are some instruments out there that you have to like take heed, because there's definitely cheap instruments out there, but I told her it's so important to use your air, because not even just it's with volume, it's with pitch, it's with tone, it's all of these things that's so important. And I told her, I was like, we're going to do some breathing exercises, okay? So I told her, I had her pick a number from 90 to 100, and I think she chose 92. So I went on my metronome app and I put in 92 beats per measure at 4/4 time, common time, usually. And the metronome's going, and I told her, okay, we're going to breathe in for 4, out for 4, in for 4, out for 4, in for 2, out for 8, right? So I did that, and I was like, I was facing the sheet music. And once I turned, when we were on that last breath of that 8 count, she was breathing through her nose. And I was like, oh my gosh, were you breathing through your nose the entire time? And she was like, yeah. And my teacher, which I've had for the last couple of years when I was at that school, she was like, see, I told you, now you don't have to hear from just me. You're not supposed to breathe through your nose. And I was like, I understood where she was coming from, because when you're young and you're doing extra things that looks a little irregular, not even irregular, it's just like, why are you doing that? It can be a little embarrassing. So I was like, it's a little embarrassing to breathe like that, is it? She was like, yeah. And then we both started laughing. So we just made a joke out of it first. That's what I like to do. When, like, if I'm working with kids, I like to understand where they're coming from, because I was at that point where I'm like, it does feel a little silly having to breathe like this. But you have to understand, not everyone is a musician. So if you're working with a whole bunch of musicians, they know what you're doing. They know exactly what you're doing. Any other adult that has worked with instruments as well, they're not going to see you as silly either. So I told her, there's going to be a situation in which you'll do like breathing exercises with a bunch of people. I learned breathing exercises, and I had to do that with my entire class, and we did it together, and that's how we warmed up for the class. So I told her, it's not embarrassing when everybody is doing the same thing. You know what I mean? So in that regard, no one cares about your process, because when you have to perform, you need to do what you need to do. Or when you're writing or you're singing, all those things, it doesn't matter. So yeah, that's the first one. The second one is, I said this last week, but I want to harp on it a little more. You should be tired after being creative. You should be extremely tired after being creative, because you're using different parts of your brain for a numerous amount of time. I'm talking about a good chunk of these tips are going to be like a little contextual. So say, for instance, you're working on, like, let's say an album, right? Or an EP, whatever. And you want to work on this specific song today because you had some inspiration. You've got all your notes down, whether it's in your phone, it's in a journal, it's something. And you want to work. And you find yourself working through the chorus. You've got the right beats. You've got all of the things together. And you got a good amount done. And you feel complete. You feel content for the day. And you're exhausted. That's how you know that you put your all into it. You're 100%. I feel like, honestly, if you don't feel tired, if you don't feel a little bit like, man, I feel worn out after this. Even if it's like, even when you're coloring. Notice how if you've colored for like 2 hours, you're like, okay, I'm done. I don't feel like doing this anymore. You're tired. Because you're using your creative part of your brain. I don't know which part it is. I should know. But still, that's important. You should be tired after being creative in any situation. Maybe I should, like, check these off. The third one, find your syllabus. So what I mean by your syllabus, right? If you have a specific TV show, a book, a songwriter, any artist, anything, I think the best course of action is looking into why you like them. Look into, if your favorite movie is Interstellar, maybe look into Christopher Nolan, look into his work. Look at interviews of why he likes to do the specific shots that he likes to make. Maybe go into Matthew McConaughey and his interviews of why he likes Interstellar. Why do you like Interstellar specifically? Do you like the story? Do you like how the lighting is set? Look into that, because there's lore for everything. And that's what I love so much about people, because they will talk about the same thing for years to come, because there'll be something new every time, because everyone's life is different. So if you like Interstellar, if it's the soundtrack, do you like the soundtrack? Why do you like the soundtrack that way? Get into the person. I think it was Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer is that guy. He really is that guy. I think Hans Zimmer wrote the soundtrack for Interstellar. So get into Hans Zimmer. Get into his brain. Try to get into his brain. If they've written books, get into that. And then you'll find other branches of other creativity from that thing that you love so much. So yeah, that's your syllabus. You have to forgive me. I'm still coming off from, I don't even know if it was a cold. It wasn't even a cold. Honestly, I was a little congested. And this is the thing. My mom tells me this all the time, and I believe her, because this happens in real time. I honestly, every time the weather changes, if it's not even like, oh, it's any time the weather changes, I just get a little sick. I just get a little stuffed up, Yeah, so you have to forgive me for that if it sounds a little congested. It sounded like that maybe I think the last one was too. I think you can hear it too, but it's getting better. Yeah, so finding your syllabus, because it really humanizes the storyteller. I really enjoyed when I was on Snapchat. If you can remember, there were a lot of interviews, a lot of stories. There were a lot of Snapchat stories about celebrities who have weird habits. habits, weird things. The reason why I know Zendaya bites her ice cream is from a Snapchat story. And these are people. These are people who know so much about the stories that they want to tell. And you realize in the end, once you look more into this syllabus, all of these celebrities that people idolize so much and all these songwriters and composers and directors, they're all just dorks. They're just geeks. If you really think about it, they will tell you about a foreign film that no one has ever watched before, and they'll talk about how much of it is a cinematic masterpiece. It's a beautiful story about this, that, and the third. It's not mainstream. It's really underground. Stuff like that. They're just dorks. So try not to distance yourself from them, because they're probably no different than you are, because they're no different than you are. We're all people trying to tell something, trying to say something. So yes, that's the third one. That's probably my favorite one. So the fourth one is, or that was the third one, sorry. The fourth one is, if you feel like you're done, then you're done. Now, this is when it comes to context. When I say this, I mean, you can take this in a situation where if you feel like you're completely done with a project, then you're done. I would say that too. But when going back to the second one, you should be tired after being creative. Try not to force anything after that. You know what I mean? If you're writing a song and it's been 3 hours and you're starting to feel like you're winding down, try not to get that second win unless you have a deadline or something. I don't know. But all I'm saying is you're not going to get what you really want if you're trying to force yourself to do something creative. The best thing that you should do right now is, if you feel like you're tired, just write it down. Write down whatever you can, whatever you feel like, oh, but I want to do this, but I'm so tired. Just write it down and then come back to it. The biggest thing that I have remembered, that I've understood rather, is sleep will definitely help you reset your mind. And that's why my friend Demai, she's really adamant about me getting some sleep. She's like, yeah, you should really be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep. I'm trying, girl. I really am. Because sometimes when you get upset, even if it's not going to sleep fully, sometimes it's like you just need a nap. When we were kids, I think that still applies. Like when you're a kid and you're getting groggy, you're just getting agitated or something, agitated at the world, go take a nap. It's nap time. And they'll come back refreshed like nothing ever happened. I think that should be something for adults too. I don't know whatever happened to that. Maybe we just got busy. But we should find a time to probably take a nap. We'd probably be a happier people, I guess. So, yeah. 5, write everything down. Write every idea down. When I say this, I mean it. Like, write everything down. If you're not someone who writes things down, then maybe put it in your notes. I don't know. It's just make sure that you have it. I don't believe in the whole, I'll remember it. No, you won't. No matter how good your memory is. And I like to think that I have a pretty decent memory. I'm still a writer. I still like to write every single thing down. Because honestly, it could probably be nothing. You'll never really go with 100% of the stuff that you write. But it's there. It's something. And if you want it to be something, just know that it's there because it was written down. You know what I mean? It's important. I really do enjoy just writing down an idea or writing down a phrase so that I can come back to it. And it doesn't matter what it looks like. It could be a whole paragraph. It could be a way that you want to write it down. Oh, write this down so that this connects to this, and this. It's so that you remember. If you're someone who remembers solely by one word, then maybe just go by the one word. But if you need more than that, then write more than that. Who cares, right? Like, it just is your story, you know? Let's see. Write every idea down. Yeah, I said it may not be anything, but it's something. If it's something, it's written down. Oh gosh, we're already halfway in. I kind of went crazy with those. Okay, so before I put you guys on break, let me see if there's other ones that I want to get into. That I want to like resurface from the 5. Yeah, number 2, the you should be tired after being creative. I remember when I was making a Lego set, my Lego flowers. in which I have that on my YouTube, Trend Universe, all one word. And I was just like doing a little Q&A and making the flowers at the same time. And I was like, this is exhausting. And I'm just putting together Legos. And you're just being creative because you're looking at a little manual. This piece goes to this piece. I have a Leonardo da Vinci Lego set that I have not put together yet. And I'm really upset with myself about that because I bought that like a month ago or maybe over a month ago. And I've been so busy and I really want to build it this weekend. I say that every weekend, but I really want to build it. So hopefully I can build it this weekend and I can post a picture because Leonardo. Oh, see, look, my syllabus, my syllabus. So Leonardo da Vinci. Why do I love him? Why do I love the idea? Like his ideas. So years ago, right? Here's a little story before I put you guys on break. I was a part of the history fair for my elementary school. Same elementary school I taught the trombone kids at. This charter school. I went to Elaine Locke Charter School in Jackson and Kedzie. I don't know if you guys remember, it's out west. So anyway, I went there, and for my 7th grade year, we did the history fair. And the history fair, you get a topic. It's a theme every year, and you have to find something centered around that topic, just like even like a science fair. Well, no, not really. History fair just has like a set idea. Anyway, that year, sorry. You're focusing on exploration and I think it was like exploration and not evolution, but it was the idea of I think it was like new ideas exploration was the biggest theme. So I was like, let's do Leonardo da Vinci. He's a Renaissance man. He's explored every crevice of his mind from art to inventions and all that stuff. So why don't we understand where his head was at? So there was a lot of research that had to be done, and I didn't realize at 12 years old how much research 12 to 13-year-olds, you have to do so much research. And I don't know if this is something that stayed in a lot of people's minds for theirs, but I really loved that project, and I loved my board. I don't know why I threw it out. There's one of those things I would have kept. I don't think I would be necessarily a hoarder, but I really loved that project. And I even had the flying machine, Leonardo da Vinci's flying machine, and I made it. I made a replica of it, and I had all of the borders along it. This is when I started going to Hobby Lobby, and I was like, whoa, Hobby Lobby? You got nothing on Michael's. Or wait, this is the other way around. Michael's ain't got nothing on Hobby Lobby. So Hobby Lobby had all of these boards, like, the regular science fair boards. They have all these colors on them. And I was like, what? This is monumental. I can't believe it. I had a red one. And then they had, on top of that, it gets even better. They had boards that go on top of the boards. You know what I mean? So if you wanted to have a title, not only could you can put the title on the little board and lay it on top of the board so that you have more space to put more information on the baseboard. And I was like, oh my gosh, they've been thinking of everything. Where has this been my whole life? So I got a red board, and it had a black trim, like a black kind of curve like trim. If you remember, teachers and their classrooms, they always had like a little border trim that's kind of like not zigzaggy, but like curvy zigzaggy. This one was like that, but it was black. And then I had like corrugated paper, and it was like tan corrugated paper. And oh my gosh, it ate down so bad. I worked so hard on it. I had so much. My room smelled like Mod Podge for about a month. It was it was amazing. I loved that project so much. But once I got into it, I started learning more about the Renaissance, and I learned about Leonardo da Vinci in Italy, and the Mona Lisa, and the Last Supper, and the Vitruvian Man, and the way that he wrote in his notebooks and all that stuff, how he really incorporated life animal life and wildlife into his inventions and his tank that he made inspired by a turtle and its shell. And I was like, this is so fascinating. So now I'm learning Italian. I think that just happened now. Like that on top of music, I think that was part of my syllabus. That was part of me. So hopefully that makes more sense about your syllabus, if it didn't already. So yeah. That's fun. This is fun. I love this topic because I love when people are being creative and just have little stuff going on in their brain and it goes on a piece of paper or on their phone and stuff. Okay. I'm going to put you guys on break for a little bit and then we will be back for the next 5. I'll be right back. Hi guys, I'm back. And we are back with the second half of the show. If this is new, sorry. I'm a little out of breath because I was running around and I was just making sure that my camera was still recording. I wanted to blow my nose for a little bit, drink some water so I can come back. And because I fear that I might be a little too, not too congested, but more congested than I like. Okay. And on top of that, I was kind of rushing when I got in here. It's fine. It's super good. So if you're back, if this is your first time tuning in again, this is the Lore Love Tales with your host Trinity Gwen or Tren. And usually we talk about how media encompasses our lives and how we move around the world with the things that we indulge our time with as far as music, movies, food? Sorry, film, books. I might be hungry, I don't know. But this Tuesday hour we've been talking about how to be your creative self. And just to recap from the first 5, because we have 10 and we're going to go over the next 5 in a bit, but to go over the first 5, 1, no one cares about your process. 2, you should be tired after being creative. 3, finding your syllabus. 4, if you feel like you're done, then you're done. And 5, write every idea down. So, excuse me, I don't know if you heard that, but I burped. If you didn't hear the first 5, you can certainly hear the rest on my YouTube channel that I post every Friday. And we meet here live every Tuesday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. CST. Because I have a couple people, well, not couple. I have people out in the Eastern time zone. So CST, 12 p.m., 1 p.m. And then I post the full length thing because I record these Tuesday hours to have, because I know 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon sounds a little funky for some people. So I just post it on Fridays at 3. Yeah, I usually post around 3 o'clock. I was experimenting at first, but 3 sounds like a pretty decent time. So, without further ado, let's get into the second half. Number 6, be open to foreign ideas. Be open to the fact that there are some people that, 1, like your idea, and 2, they don't want to there are some people out there who just want to kind of overtake their your project. But the biggest thing about creativity is that it is a collaborative concept. When you're creative, there are so many people who feel inclined to include themselves into this artwork that you're doing, into this album, to this book. Well, what if you did this, and this, that, and the third? What if you decided to have these people do that? Now, don't be someone who's like, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I know exactly how this is going to go. You don't have to tell me. I already have it figured out. That's lame. There are ways to kind of subtly decline, but there's also a way to be like, you know what? I never thought of it that way. Being creative means being collaborative. Being creative means being open to what could possibly be. So if you're someone who's really close, I've never met a closed-minded individual. I've never met a closed-minded creative individual. I never have. I'm not saying they don't exist, which is probably why maybe I haven't known them for very long, but someone who is creative, they're always open to new ideas, because that's where creativity starts, with an idea. And you got to have a lot of them. So yeah, I would definitely say if someone gives you an idea, it could be a terrible idea. It could be terrible. Why would you tell me this? This is the worst idea you've ever given me. You could just acknowledge it as a thought and be like, you know what? I can see that. But here's how I want to do it. See, when people include themselves, it can be collaborative to a point where you could just be like, you know what, I get that, but this is how I've wanted it to be for a very long time because X, Y, and Z. Or you don't really have to explain yourself if you don't want to. But all I'm saying is just be open to the fact that there could possibly be some surrounding ideas that come by in your creative process, and they could either make or break. Because there have been some ideas that came from my friends and my peers, and they're like, what if you did this? And I'm like, maybe. And then after a while, I tried it out, and I was like, you know what? This was a good idea. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like that. So, 7, go all out. Go all out. You're the only one who knows how the story goes. So if you hold back, they'll never know. So if nothing comes out of the audience, be aware how much work you put into it. So if you have an art project, I'm just going to say in a general sense, an art project. It doesn't even have to be just visual art. Something with artistry, I guess. If you have a certain art project that you want to do, and just don't think about how long it's going to take. Be as elaborate as you want with it. And all I'm saying, because like I said, you're the only one who knows how this story is going to go. So if you have a certain way that you want to tilt the camera to convey something, if you want to have a specific color grade, a specific color scheme that shows up a lot in your project, if you have a certain beat that you want repeated in your album or something like that, just go all out. Because again, you're the only one who knows how this is going to go. So you have to convey it the way that it's supposed to go. I just feel like people kind of hold themselves back to be like, this might be too much. To who? Says who? The only person who really said it, and it's funny because we're the only ones who the ones who are saying it, is ourselves. You know, this isn't too much. I never said it was too much. You think it's not too bold? I think it's really great. You don't think it's overbearing? I think it's just right. I think it's perfect the way that it is. You're the only one who's thinking it's overbearing. So honestly, just go all out and just worry about all of that later. If you got out as much as you could, what you wanted, then sure, maybe it could be overbearing to some people. But if you wanted it to look exactly like this, then you've done your job. Number 8. This one might be a doozy, but some people may not like your story. That doesn't mean it's not deserving. I'm saying this now. Just because someone may not like your story doesn't mean it's not a story deserved to be told. I will never sit here and say that. I will never say that no story deserves to be told. I will never say that a day in my life. If I ever say that, it's not me. Throw me away or like report me or something. There's this thing where if there's some if there's someone that I know, I'm like, if you do this, I will know it's not you. You're a clone. This is a simulation. Because one thing is, let me see, I'm trying to think, like another thing that I do. So my thing is, I don't really finish my drinks. Like, not even like, drinks, but like a beverage. If I go out to eat, and I go out to eat with my friends, my family, whatever, and I order like a strawberry lemonade, there's always going to be 30% left in the glass. There's always going to be 30% left of any beverage that I don't finish. Like, I just don't finish my drinks. Water is different. I'll finish some water. But for the life of me, I just never, every single time, it never fails. When it's time for us to leave, I look at the table and make sure we don't leave our keys behind or our phones behind. And I look at my drink that has about 30% left in it. Always. So if it's a situation where, now that you know, if I ever finish my drink, probably not me. It's probably not me. Or the drink was really good, or I was just thirsty. But more often than not, I'm not finishing my drinks. I don't know why. I don't know the science behind it. Sorry. Number 9. More is better than less. At least in the beginning. And I said very contextual for my notes. So more is better than less. You know when people are like, less is more. Yeah, in some cases less is more. But more is more when you're creating. So for me, right, when I'm writing, or I'm writing my book, or I'm writing something like a little idea for something. But in most cases, when I record for videos, sorry, I'm trying to move myself over here. When I make my videos, I usually collect a lot of B-roll. Doesn't matter. If I like what I'm looking at, I'll take a video and I'll keep it. If I feel like I have more than I need to, it's fine. I can use it for something else. Who's gonna know, right? So it's better to have more B-roll than less, because if you limit yourself to, I'm only gonna use like a couple of videos, then that's boring. I feel like you should have more B-roll than you can, because not only will you have another idea, another way of storytelling, you also have more for later. And you also like, you know what? I really like this clip. I think I want to use this in another video, in another idea that I have. More B-roll means more possibilities. So yeah, I feel like if you want to have multiple videos of the sunset in your room, or like the sunset in your room, or multiple videos of flowers, multiple videos of people just existing, I think that's fine. And if you want to have more samples of your song, like multiple ways from different choruses, it's all over the place, I think that's fine too. And another thing that you could probably consider is to what am I getting at? Oh yeah, once you're done, minimize at that point. You know what I mean? You can have a lot. You can have a lot in the beginning so you can minimize more, if that makes sense. Because if you're minimizing like a small amount, then you're kind of just stretched. You're kind of stretched too thin. So when you have so much that you've worked on, you can finally like limit it down. I am hungry. My stomach is kind of growling. Anyway, that's number 9. Number 10. This one's a good one. Keep yourself accountable, however you see it. Build your schedule from lenient to strict. Now, you are the only person with your brain, right? You have your brain. You use it every day, all the time, hopefully. And all I will say is that you are the only person who knows what you're capable of. So try not to make a big, like a big hoard of work for you. If you know you're not the type of person to do that. If you're a person who likes to work for like an hour, and then you like to go away for a couple hours, just, take a nap, do whatever. Maybe you shouldn't put in a time block for 4 hours of being creative, because you know that's not you. If you're someone who loves working, if you love to have back to back work, and you feel like your most productive self when you put away 3 hours, don't limit yourself to doing only 30 minutes a day. If you want to be experimental, that's fine. That's one thing. But if you know yourself to your very core, work around yourself. You know how people get vacations and they're like, I'm going to work around my job. This applies the same way. If you know yourself, work around how you think you would produce the most productivity. Because at the end of the day, this is you. You're making this work. So don't make it like a job. I mean, it's the wrong term, I guess, wrong verbiage, I guess. But still, I feel like the best way is to probably find your niche, find your medium, and realize, okay, if I go by this, I'll probably get a better chapter out this way. I'll get a better chorus out this way. I'll get a better part of this portrait out of the way. Go in spurt, like work in spurts. If you just want to work on a title, if you just want to work, that's another thing too. I'll put another one in there, like number 11. All creative works, all parts of the project are important. So from the album cover, from the title, from the names of the songs, all of those are important. I feel like people put too much emphasis on one thing when everything else has to be accounted for. Because unless you have like multiple people on this project, you have to make sure that you're 100% okay with everything. When I'm working on my book, there were so many titles that came and went. And I just took time working on how I wanted to embody the book itself. So I looked on Pinterest, and the feelings that I got from pictures that I looked at, from songs that I listened to. This is how I want my characters. And my characters had a playlist. What would they listen to? If my friends, had a book that I wanted a book to look nice on their nightside, like their nightside table or their nightstand, how would I want it to look? How would I want the book to look? How would I want my characters to sound? All of these things account for the actual book itself. You know what I mean? They all matter. So be as lenient as you want. If you want to be as basic as you want, be basic with it. If you don't want to be basic, you want to go all out with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I hate this so much. I hate that my nose is a little I hate this so much. I also have I think I actually have a naturally nasally voice either way. So it doesn't help. It comes and goes. And all that jazz. This has been great. I love this. I love this topic because the amount of people that come and go in my life, and I talk to them about the things that they left. I love that. And I've centered around my writing all of the things that I center the way that I go around the world with how people are, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but when I talk to people, and the best thing about talking to people is just how they storytell. And they talk about what their favorite thing is. They talk about their favorite book is, why they like this book, this movie that they hated so much. They talk about a story that they had with a person that they don't really care for. I don't know. It's fuel for me. And I really enjoy people feeling their most, because I feel like this can be argued, but I understand a lot of things can be argued. But I think your most vulnerable self is when you're telling a story, is when you're confiding in someone. Because when you're telling a story, as serious or not, this is you embodying what you understood, what you experienced. And you're doing that to another person. And that's at a point where you could either be understood or you're not understood. And it's a 50-50. It's a 50-50 survival rate of like, okay, this is the story. And the person hearing it is either like, oh, this is an interesting story, or you have to explain it. You know? I just love storytelling. This is why the show is what it is. I could probably talk about it a little bit, but my book, I told you guys last week, it's a interesting process because I've never written a book before. I've written so many things in my life. I've written in my journal since I was like 13, and I didn't realize I started loving to write as much as I did. And journaling, after a while, it became my form of expression. And I don't know, I think honestly, the way that I speak is fine. My verbal expression is good, but I think my written expression is even better. I think I like writing more than actually speaking. I mean, I like to yap. I do tend to yap. But the way that I convey messages is better with writing. And I've shared a little bit of my writing with some of my friends already, and they really enjoy the book so far. The book is a collection of short stories that all kind of connects together somehow. I don't want to get too much into it because I would really talk about the whole book in its entirety, but I would just like for you to actually read the book when it comes out. Don't ask me when it comes out. It will probably come out next year. I wanted it to come out in September of this year, but it's already May. So not really banking on that coming out in this September. Maybe next September. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how my life is going to be next September. But I digress. I love storytelling where it comes from all different types for me. I love, like I said, writing. I like listening to music. Classical music is my favorite genre. I think it's just because I'm a musician and I tend to understand how classical music just kind of, it's just unspoken, because it's literally unspoken. There's no there's no lyrics, there's no lyricism in it. It's just all instrumentalist. It's just I love it, because whether it's a movie soundtrack or a piece that I played before, I have a playlist of all just classical music, and it's like 70% of it is pieces I played before, 30% movie soundtrack and songs that I just like and love. So it's all over the place, really. No, I won't say 70%. I would actually say, you know what? I'll say 60%. 60% are pieces that I played before. 40% is soundtracks, movie scores, compositions, and just regular classical music that I just like, that I've heard before. And I really enjoy hearing it, because even if there isn't a story linked to the piece, whether it hasn't came from a ballet or it hasn't came from a movie, I can still make a story in of itself. When I listen to Danzon No. 2, which is my favorite piece ever, should I do that? I don't know if I can. I was working on, I had like written sort of a story for Danzon No. 2. Maybe we can do that in the last couple of minutes. Maybe we can. Hold on, guys. I shall look this up. So hopefully we can listen in and do this together. This will be my first time doing this, so you have to be, you gotta be patient with me, because I'm already in. I just have to look up the song and just connect you guys to the kiosk. I just have to go to YouTube. No, wait a minute. Is YouTube already here? Oh, YouTube's right here. Haha. Okay. So while I put this together, I'll tell you, I played this piece a couple weeks ago with my orchestra. It's called Danzon No. 2, and it is written by Arturo Marquez, and I love it because I watched the recording of it. You know what? That's not working, so we're just gonna go into YouTube, and it's just like this. I played it and I watched the recording of it because it is being it's conducted. One of the recordings is conducted by one of my favorite composers of all time, and that is Gustavo Dudamel. And it's just, oh my gosh, I love it so much. And I made a story for it. So, okay, let's try and hopefully see if this works. I'm trying to see where I go. Is it Hal? Yeah, it's Hal. Okay. No, it's not. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's kiosk. Haha. Here it is. So, I'm going to press play and hopefully it plays. Can you guys hear it? Okay, you guys can hear it, but this is an ad, so we're just gonna skip it. I hope you guys can hear it. I really do. Okay. So, think of it this way, right? This is a story of a castle, a noble family, if you will. And this is a night of courting. This is a story of a princess who was finally of age, and this is the night where she will find her soon-to-be prince so that they can get married and then she can be queen and she'll find her king, right? It's the other way around. It's usually like, in Cinderella, it's like, oh, the prince finds a princess so that they can be together. So at this point, here, all the potential princes are lining up. We're panning all over to the castle. The castle is beautifully decorated. There's lights and there's candles and there's food, and it's wonderful. And they go in line, and we pan into the part where we finally meet the prince, multiple princes and princesses. Not princesses, I'm sorry. The princess finally dances with the first prince, and the prince slowly dances with the princess now. It's an easy waltz. It's a nice waltz. It's one of those waltzes that, you carry on to the next person with a single hand, if that makes sense. So in this story, it's simple. It's nothing too crazy. It's easy going. It's still pretty though. So, but she's not really the princess at this point. She's not really intrigued. This is the first dance, so she's not really going to be in her all with it. But at this point, we're getting into a new prince who really feels like he's just gonna bag this. Enter the next prince. This prince is like, he's super arrogant, he's egotistical, he knows he's got this in the bag. He's leading a little bit more than he should in this dance, to a point where he's basically just grabbing the princess the entire time, right? So at this point, pan over to the queen and the king and queen. King actually likes him, likes that he's assertive. The queen is just kind of like, oh my gosh, my poor baby, my poor daughter. So now at this point, he's taken over the entire dance. He's gone past his time, and he's flaunting her at this point. All of the princes are just trying to be respectful, but also being really annoyed by this, because, man, what the heck? I'm trying to have a dance with the princess, and this man is just parading her around like he won already. And obviously he didn't. So while this is going, the princess is obviously annoyed. She's obviously tired, but she knows that she has to do this for her role, for her nobility, but more importantly, her father. So she just sticks it out. But at this point, she wishes she was at a point in time where everything was fine and fun. And at this point, there was at a point when she was younger, she used to dance around with her friend who worked in the linens. The maid had a son, and the son played with the princess because they were both younger, and they were best friends for a long time. But the king didn't like him. The king didn't like him at all. So out of spite, the king decided to banish the mom, the maid, the wonderful maid, almost the second mom to the princess. Banishes the maid, banishes the son, because, they always had so much fun playing in the fields, having fun. And at this point, we're going back to the future now, to a point where finally the arrogant prince gets a taste of his own medicine, and he gets tapped on the shoulder, and a new prince comes in, and he's like, may I cut in? Now now we're going into a different story now. Everything is slowed down. We have a new prince now. I love this part of the song. So at this point, the new prince has gained a steady dance with the princess. It feels almost fluid on both sides. It's a give and take. It's a lead. It's a beautiful waltz. And it just feels a little bit too familiar now. And mind you, this is a masquerade ball as well. Sorry, I should have mentioned this was a masquerade ball. Sorry. But at this point, she looks at the prince, and she realizes this is the other kid. And she's putting it together. This is him. This is a flashback of them dancing at the night and dancing as kids, and they were in the hills. It's a back and forth. She's reminiscing. She was like, oh my gosh, this is him. Where have you been all this time? And the reason why the little kid, the guy who comes in, the reason why he made it in is because it's a masquerade. He can say he's a prince, but in reality, he was just the son of a maid. And then he takes off his mask, and she's so excited. She's relieved. She finds a familiar face. She's missed him all these years. And then get into talking, and they're hugging, and they have all of their little inside jokes that they used to have. The queen is looking a little, she hasn't clicked. It hasn't clicked for her that this is the prince that she's, or like, not prince. She hasn't put together that this is the boy that she used to play with when she was younger. And the dance is finally over. And when, a dance is done, they usually curtsy. And after the curtsy is done, the new prince, the prince, the arrogant one, he's irritated. So he's just gonna butt in. And he's just like, you know what? Enough of this. I'm tired of this. You've had it already. We all know who the winner is here. We all know what's happening. It's me. It's always been me. But now, the prince, the better prince, the son of the maid, is like, you know what? I I have to be with her. This is the reason why I came. So this is a quarrel between both the arrogant prince and the son of the maid. So they're both just like arguing. There's a quarrel, and all the princes that never got a dance with her is just like, this is a little awkward. So now things start to get a little physical. Arrogant prince hits first, then the other one, then the other one, then the other one, and now there's a full-on fight. Bumped into another prince, and now all the princes are fighting at this point. So this was a distraction. So now at this point, the arrogant prince somehow got into another fight with another prince. The son of the maid finally found a way to get back to the princess, because now it's anarchy now, and to distract him from the king and the queen. Son of the maid finds the princess. They're running all over the castle. Guards find them. Hey, get her! Go find them! So now they're just running around at this point. They're running all over the castle so that they can finally get away from each other. They can finally get away from this life that she never really wanted. She was only a poster child, so that she can finally be with the son of the maid. So they're running around. They're trying to duck and dive. They're trying to make sure that they don't get caught. So this castle is pretty big. Mind you, these people are noble, right? So they remember their old trail that they used to have. Their little, secret areas and secret tuckaways that they used to find. So they go through this tunnel, and they finally find themselves at a carriage that he made. And they're talking, they're like, we can finally be together if this is what you want. If this is something that you want to do, we can do it. It's a bit of a run. So with that, they're running to the end of the carriage, and there's soldiers running after them, and they're finally getting to the end of the carriage, and they stop. The son of the maid stops her, and they're like, you sure want to do this? And she's like, I've never wanted anything more in my life. So they finally get on the carriage, and just in the split second when they pull off, the soldiers, they hardly get to it. It's just like, it was almost so close, and they run off into the hills, and they are finally together. And I made that story up, and that's the whole story. I love storytelling. I will listen. I've listened to that story multiple times, or like I've listened to the song multiple times, and I've just created that story. And every time I tell it, I told it to one of my friends a couple of years ago, and I made a video about it, and they responded and was like, my mom said, what kind of Disney story is this? I was so honored. So yeah, this has been the Lore Love Tales. I really hope you heard it. That would be so embarrassing if you didn't hear it, because I heard it through here. But this has been the Lore Love Tales. I hope you enjoyed it. Trend Universe for my YouTube, and Trend_MONE. We go every live Tuesday, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. And I hope to see you guys next week. Bye, guys.